What should we do next?
What would you like to do?
Let's just do Viagra Boys.
Viagra Boys.
So next in my notes, so let's just go for it. So this is Street Worms, the
Deluxe edition.
This is a deluxe edition, yes. So Street Worms is a debut album from Viagra Boys. It was originally released in September 2018. Now that original release had, I think, 9 tracks on it.
Yeah.
And this is the deluxe version, which came out in March this year and has an extra 5 tracks. So we're talking 14 tracks and it runs at about 54 minutes. So, I mean, I've never heard of Viagra Boys before. They've got 2 EPs, one Consistency of Energy came out in 2016 and Call of the Wild in 2017. I haven't listened to either of them, and like I said, I hadn't heard of them before this album. They're a sort of post-punk band with elements of desert rock, be sort of groove rock, and a bit of stoner rock thrown in there, I'd say.
Bits of everything. It's such a textured and layered album.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, there's bits of jazz. There's, I think one of the members of the band plays the saxophone permanently, so there's a lot of saxophone in here.
Wow.
Which is not a bad thing. I think we were both surprised to find that this is the band are Swedish.
Yep.
They're from Stockholm, Sweden, but the vocal delivery is sounds very American, very Southern American, like a
Southern drawl.
A Southern drawl, yeah, a deeply. Quite deeply delivered Southern drawl. So, what are your overall thoughts on Viagra Boys?
I thought it was fantastic. I think there's a humour that kind of runs throughout all the tracks. It's just quite fun. You know, they sing about some really obscure and unusual stuff, like a frog going undercover. And Frog Strap, which is it Frog Strap or Frog Strapper? Frog Strap's the 7th song. That song in particular, I mean, I thought that could have came straight out of something from South Park. There was points where I thought it sounded like Trey Parker singing.
Yeah.
One of the co-creators as kind of South Park.
It's like it's a great song. About like a frog going undercover and spying on humans. Like the lyrics are just hilarious. Like there's a bit that says, "But the faces showed disbelief that there could be an amphibian enlisted in on your plan. How did it sit by undetected? There's nothing that could spy on man, unless it was an endothermic being and it could breathe through its skin. But how the hell could a tetrapod be able to blend in? Frog strap infiltrator in your jacket." It's just like a lot of humour, a lot of fun, and I mean, as this is going on, there's just like a cool as fuck bass line in the background, a real like foot shuffling beat, and this sort of weird electronics and synths kind of flourishing in the background, and some like stabbing guitar riffs as well. So it's just there's a lot to love, and that sort of theme is throughout the album, that like driving bass and drums and sort of spiky angular guitars is all over the album, and it's almost a formula, but I wouldn't go as far to call it like the album formulaic, because it's just so good, and it's, you know, it's not always the same. They mix it up quite a bit, but there's always that sort of driving bass and just sort of a thumping beat that you can just kind of tap your foot to.
So what other songs kind of stuck out for you?
Sports.
Yeah. Have you seen the video to Sports?
I have seen Sports, yeah. I have seen the video to Sports, rather. So the video is just like the
lead singer stoating about a dead.
Well, he's lead singer, he's shirtless, he's absolutely tattooed all over his body.
Yeah.
And he's just like stumbling about an indoor tennis court while there's a match going on around him.
Yeah.
Getting hit in the head by tennis balls, and He just looks like an absolute like junkie maniac. like while this is going on, but that's the first song that I heard. It must have been re-released as a single or something.
Yeah, it was released as a single on the 8th of July.
Aye, so I've put it on the sort of July playlist. So it must have just come up when it came out, and I like instantly loved it. It's got like the intro has got like percussion that sounds like a ping pong ball going back and forth.
Yeah.
And that's mimicked by some like guitar harmonics and then like guitar squeals, like, you know, it's mimicking that same percussion. And the singer basically just sings about things related to sports, but he also sings about things that aren't related to sports.
Well, kind of to begin with, he kind of talks about
things that are related. Because he's like baseball, basketball, wiener dogs. And then later on he's like smoking dope, getting high in the morning, buying things off the internet. And it doesn't make any sense.
I think later on he says something like, what is it? Is it wearing sunshades in the morning is a sport? Or wearing sunshades as you sleep is a sport? Something like that. Maybe. I've actually written down he sounds American as fuck. Like I said, I was really taken aback to find out that they're Swedish.
Yeah. Especially when he says wiener dogs, it's like the most American sounding thing. And yeah, it's just a great tune. There's a real groovy shuffle from the guitars, and then it's like a moment. I'm not sure how long the song is, but about the 2-minute mark, it just turns into like a manic fever dream where he's like screaming about sports as though he's had some kind of traumatic experience in his life. He's like, sports, like he's just losing his mind to sports.
I've written here that the kind of 2.5 minute mark, lead singer just starts screaming, he's howling, he starts singing in gibberish.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great though.
But yeah, like it's hard not to like it. It's just
there's something just really cool about it, isn't it? Yeah. It's just
it's utter nonsense, but it's beautiful nonsense. One of the really standout songs for me is Just Like You.
Yeah, that was released as a single as well. Was it? On the 30th of August 2018, and there's a video for that as well, but I haven't seen the video for that.
But I don't know if it's my favourite track, but it's right up there. Just like, it's just he's singing about having a dream, about having a great life, and like, you know, he's got a small dog, but it looked like a big dog.
It's a very small dog that reminded him of a big dog.
Yeah, like, I love that the descriptions of things, the way things are described and how he sets a scene, but the way, like, just this song is like, everything's great, everything's fantastic in his dream, and he's saying about how he's glad he didn't end up just like you, like some kind of psychopath. And it's like, is he talking to himself? You know, is he the psychopath and this dream?
Yeah, I never wasn't too sure how to interpret that either. Or is the person that's got the small dog in the house, is that...
Yeah, because at one point he mentions he wakes up from the dream and he's in this like sort of junkie den with all these down and outs, and he's like, oh, thank God I didn't end up like you, like in this fucked up society. So it's almost like he's in part of the song he's saying, you know, there's this great life, a happy family, and he's glad he didn't end up like you, like a psychopath. Is always referring to himself, but it's like juxtaposed later when he wakes up and he's like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't end up like you, like with the nice life.
Yeah, I didn't know what to make of that either.
I'm not sure which it is, or is it both? It's, you know, doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. No. It's just a really, I love them this bursts of saxophone on this, like little spurts that just kind of go with the beat, and it's like a really smoky kind of brooding song. It's just absolutely brilliant.
This is immediately followed up by my favourite song of the album, Shrimp Shack.
Oh really? Okay.
It's one of my favourite. It's quite a long song. It's 6 minutes, 11 seconds long. As we were kind of saying earlier on, there is kind of a lot of kind of texture and kind of layers. Like you said, it's almost like a formula, but it's not formulaic. You know, we've got this kind of heavy drums, guitar riff, there's synth. I couldn't tell if there was kind of hand claps in there or if it was a reprise of that kind of ping pong ball sound from sports.
It might be hand claps. I haven't written it down, but I do have vague recollection of there being hand claps somewhere.
Yeah, and it's really good. Again, the lyrical content is kind of second to none. He kind of talks about I think a friend or associate's mum turning up at the shrimp shack, asking where he'd been. I think he says that he tells her a lie, wasn't too sure where he was. He takes off his shirt, she takes off his. They roll in the dirt and get dirty.
Yeah.
And then that's followed up by I'm surfing with your mum.
Yeah, surfing in the dirt with your mum.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
And I don't give a shit. And I quite believe he doesn't give a shit.
No, it's like...
He's such a cool character.
This album is absolutely hilarious. And
but that doesn't detract. Like, yeah, there's kind of, like we said, humour peppered throughout. I mean, it's consistently throughout all the songs. But I don't think that it kind of distracts from the music, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't... Just because there's humour in there doesn't necessarily make it a kind of novelty album.
It's not, it's not, you know, it's not Chef's chocolate salty balls. It's not.
Yeah.
Like, I know you mentioned that Frog Stop sounded a bit like Trey Parker could have sang and wrote it, but there is that element to it. But it's not just a joke. You know?
No,
it's
not at all.
There's some proper musicianship on it, and Shrimp Shack. Only about half of it has lyrics. The last couple of minutes, it's just constant groove. It just locks into a groove and it just drives and drives and drives, and it's a proper like foot to the floor song when you're driving in your car. And there's lots of cool percussion and like spurts and grunts of saxophone. I've sort of said it's like a flock of anarchist geese on a rampage. But yeah. A really interesting album. I think I mentioned before that most of the songs have got that sort of driving groove to them, but there's a song called Worms which dials it back a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a lot slower. It's still got that kind of shuffling beat to it, but yeah, it's more lethargic and it's kind of it's a song about being dead and buried in the ground again, eaten by worms. I mean, the lyrics are a bit more subtle than my way of putting it, but that's essentially what it's about, and it's got some really cool like desert rock guitar twangs and sort of atonal saxophones. The end to the original release would have been track 9, Amphetanarchy.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool song title, if nothing else. It's like the end of Shrimp Shack. It's like a groove track. I don't think there's any lyrics on it at all.
There's not that I could.
Yeah. So it's 6 minutes of just groove, and I think it's good, but I'm not sure that's the way I would have liked the album to end. Like if I'd listened to this for the first time in 2018 and it had ended on this 6 minute long track with no lyrics, I think it's still good, but I think it would have been like, oh, that's it, finished. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the strongest songs are the ones that tell a story in an entertaining way. So it's kind of like you want your final track to have a sort of an impact, and Amphetanarchy, it's just the instrumental part.
Yeah,
and you want there to be a story over the top of it. But I mean, because it's got that sort of dark and brooding like feel to it, and it sounds depraved, just the instrumentation, but it would be cool if it did have some lyrical content to it. Although that said, we're listening to the deluxe version, so it doesn't end there, so there's less scrutiny, I suppose, on that song, because it's not the last track on this version. So it's actually really good, but I just feel like it would have been on the original release. It's probably a bit weaker, being the final track. So how do you feel about these last 5 songs, these sort of new tracks.
I want to meet the Jungle Man and learn the jungle dance.
He's wise. He knows a lot of things.
He does. I get it. Yeah, I really enjoyed that song. It's got some, well, I've described it as comedy monkey noises at the kind of 2:20 mark, and then it was kind of repeated at the 2:20 mark. Which again, you know, I've kind of said that, you know, there is kind of humour kind of peppered throughout the kind of course of this album. However, it doesn't kind of distract from the kind of musical integrity of the kind of album. However, those two sounds reminded me of something from the Mighty Bush for some reason.
Yeah, I think it's a great song. I love that bass line, just like the down 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 down, and that's how it starts. But then later on, you get the saxophone comes in and like mimics the bass line, and it's so good. And just like all the things that Jungle Man can do. He taught how to swim on land, how to do the jungle dance,
kill a pig with his bare hands.
Yeah, how to drink 1,000 beers,
and then smoke a pound of that jungle weed.
Yeah,
it's the dance, man. For me, I want to learn the jungle dance. Absolutely.
Yeah, so good song. Beijing Taxi. I mean, this is a really strange song, but it's really in a strange way. It's quite affecting. It's like the sort of setup is in somebody waking up and
reaching for his glass of water.
Yeah, like what is it? It tastes like jeans.
Tastes like an old pair of jeans, is what I've written down here.
So essentially, he's going around. He's woke up, presumably after like a heavy night. He's going around his kitchen, can't find much to eat. Comes across a slice of bread, puts it in the toaster. The toaster comes on, and the fire lights up, and it sort of likens it to the fires in the battlefields of World War One.
And reminds him of having his hands on his gun in 1914. But he even takes some significance in finding the single slice of white bread.
Yeah.
I can't quite remember how the lyrics go, but it was like, does he say he takes it as a sign or something?
He takes it as a sign that it was his.
That it was his. Yeah. He knew that it was mine or something.
Yeah. And it's like such a bizarre setup, but the way the lines are delivered, especially when the stuff about the war and fire and stuff comes in, it's like it takes on a sort of, it sounds serious, even though like it's a nonsense setup, but just the way it's delivered is really serious, and it's kind of affecting. Like its descriptions of things are really vivid, like whether they're sort of nonsensical or not, or like, because it's a ridiculous concept to think like the heated element on your toaster
would remind you of the trenches.
Conjures the trenches up, but it, like you believe them, and it takes you there. So that's a very hard hitting track for me. I really like that song, and then it's got a strange sort of Oriental outro, which I guess explains the name Beijing Taxi.
Aye, that's yeah.
But otherwise, I have no idea why it's called that. Up All Night is okay. There's some pretty interesting lyrics about staying up all night and building a machine. He's going to win the Nobel Prize for Modern Engineering. It's a proper groove train. It's a good song. But Special Helmet is certainly up there with my favourite tracks. It's another one of these kind of ridiculous stories, and it's about a woman he meets who has a special helmet
that protects her from all
sorts of things, in case we drive into a bush or a large animal and I get stomped on my head by its hoofs. And then there's this great scream of "I need my special helmet" that kind of repeats throughout the song, and it's absolutely fantastic. And it's got that signature sort of grunting bass, and there's a really cool screeching electronic sound, and those stabbing guitars that are just so good to listen to. And if the album had ended there, that's track 13, I'd have been pretty happy with that. We do get a final song. I ain't living long like this, which I could have done without, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a cover of a country song by
I didn't realise that.
Rodney Crowell,
Right.
and it's popularised by Waylon Jennings.
Oh, right, okay.
It's a sort of bluesy country song. The original's a sort of bluesy country song, and they just apply that Viagra Boys groove over the top of it, and it's okay. I don't think it really works that well because it doesn't have that sense of humour, and you don't have those vibrant descriptions that you get with the rest of the album. So I could have easily dropped that. And finished. I think Special Helmet would have been a much better way to end the album. It's a really strong song. So yeah, I absolutely love this album. There's not much more I can say than that.
I read an article by a guy called Michael Ham.
Where do you get these names?
I have no idea. What was it when we were discussing
Van Hogan?
Van Hogan Band or something?
Yeah,
like
Van
that,
Hogan
wasn't
Band.
it? I think these people really existed
I'm not
as
sure.
kind of pseudonyms.
You're just
Who
making
knows?
these interviews up.
But it was for a website called Spectator.
Okay.
And he described their sound as filthy chaos, and I thought that was quite apt.
Yeah, I think Filthy Chaos is it's a really good way to describe it. Yeah.
It's probably also worth mentioning they won an award as well for this album. They won 2019's Impala Album of the Year award, which celebrates independent European releases, and this was previously awarded to the likes of XX and Caribou and Adele.
Okay.
It's quite interesting to think of Adele and the Viagra Boys in the same kind of category.
It is, but well deserved. I
Absolutely.
think this is a really great album, and I'm glad it got this re-release because it would have completely passed me by if it hadn't. Because the end of last year I did a list of like my favourite albums of the year, and had I known about this album, it would have been on there. So there's a little bit of regret there that I missed it, but to be fair, I think the deluxe edition is probably better just because, well, it's got Special Helmet on it.
Yeah.
So
And Jungle Man.
Yeah. So maybe it's for the best, but yeah, an excellent, bewildering album. What would you give this one?
I would say 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I'm just going to agree with you because I probably would have gone with high 9, but I think having sort of talked to you about it has kind of made me appreciate it more.
It's unlike anything I've heard before.
Yeah.
I think it really kind of stands out.
Okay, so that was Street Worms Deluxe Edition by Viagra Boys. Yeah. give it a shot. It's pretty good.